What if I told you that everything you learned in school about how America got its name was a complete and utter lie? What if the true origin of this continent's name goes back not hundreds but thousands of years, to an ancient civilization that worshipped serpents and built monuments that still baffle archaeologists today? Prepare yourself for a journey into forbidden history, a journey that will shatter everything you thought you knew about the Americas. This is the story of Amaruca, the real name of this continent, hidden from you for centuries. I'm about to reveal evidence so explosive, so game-changing, that it will force you to question not just American history, but the entire narrative of human civilization itself. But before we dive into these earth-shattering revelations, smash that like button if you're ready to have your mind completely blown. Subscribe and ring that notification bell, because what you're about to learn will change everything you thought you knew about our world. Are you ready? Because there's no going back once you learn the truth about Amaruca. Chapter 1. The Great Deception. For over 500 years, we've been told that America was named after Amerigo Vespucci, the Italian explorer. But what if this is nothing more than a carefully constructed lie designed to hide the true ancient origins of this continent's name? Deep in the archives of forgotten history lies a truth so profound that it threatens the very foundation of everything we've been taught. The name America doesn't come from Amerigo Vespucci at all. It comes from Amaruca, an ancient word that predates European exploration by millennia. Amaruca, say it with me, Amaruca. In the ancient languages of the indigenous peoples, this word held profound meaning: land of the feathered serpents, or land of the great serpents. But why serpents? Why would an entire continent be named after these mysterious creatures? The answer lies in a global phenomenon that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge: the universal worship of the serpent that once spanned every corner of our earth. Madame Blavatsky, in her monumental work, The Secret Doctrine, revealed a startling truth. There was a time when the four corners of the earth were covered with temples sacred to the sun god and the dragon god. This wasn't isolated to one culture or one continent. This was global. Think about it. From the great dragons of China to the serpent temples of India, from the feathered serpent Quetzalcoatl of the Maya to the serpent mounds of North America. Everywhere we look, we find evidence of this ancient universal serpent worship. But here's where it gets really interesting. Chapter 2. The serpent connection, the primary god of the Maya in Central America, was Quetzalcoatl, also known as Kukulkan. When translated, this name means feathered serpent. But this wasn't just a Maya deity. This same serpent god appears across all American civilizations under different names. In Peru, this god was called Amaru. Notice the similarity to Amaruca? Amaru literally translates to land of the serpents with feathers, or land of the great serpents. The connection is undeniable. But here's where this story takes a truly extraordinary turn. Recent archaeological discoveries in Peru have revealed something that will shock you to your core. The Inca people themselves made inscriptions directly linking the name America to the mysterious Amaruca. When the Spanish conquistadors captured and executed the last Inca leader in 1572, his name was Tupac Amaru, which translates to shining serpent. The very name carried the ancient memory of this serpent civilization. But why feathered serpents? Why serpents with wings? The answer is both simple and profound. These weren't earthbound creatures. These were serpents that could fly, serpents that came from the sky. This undeniably links these mysterious beings to what ancient texts call the fallen angels. Entities that descended from heaven to interact with early human civilizations. The Bible itself refers to Satan as that ancient serpent and the great dragon. But we're just getting started. The evidence runs so much deeper than you can possibly imagine. Chapter 3. Archaeological bombshells. Hidden in the dense jungles of Peru and throughout the Amazon basin lie ruins so ancient, so magnificent, that they predate the Inca civilization by thousands of years. These are the remnants of the America civilization, the true builders of the monuments we see today. At 12,500 feet above sea level in the Peruvian Andes, we find Marcoasi, the largest stone sculpture formation in the world. Mainstream archaeologists claim these were formed by natural erosion. But anyone with eyes can see the truth. These are clearly artificial constructions of incredible precision and scale. But that's not all. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, archaeologists have discovered a lost city that may be directly connected to the legendary Cloud People of Peru, a civilization of white-skinned, blonde-haired warriors who ruled these lands thousands of years ago. Spanish missionary records from 1681 tell of a mysterious white, bearded people who lived in the Amazon, carrying with them plates and jewelry decorated with the exact same symbols found in the legendary Manuscript 512, a document describing a lost Brazilian city of incredible antiquity. These weren't recent European arrivals. These were the remnants of an ancient civilization that had existed in the Americas for millennia before Columbus ever set sail. The evidence is overwhelming. In 1976, divers in Guanabara Bay, near Rio de Janeiro, discovered ancient Greek and Phoenician amphorae storage vessels used by Mediterranean civilizations over 3,000 years ago. The Brazilian government immediately created embargoes to stop further exploration. Why? Because these discoveries completely destroy the official narrative of when and how the Americas were first discovered.
Ow.
But the cover-up goes even deeper. Chapter 4. The alphabet conspiracy here est something they never taught you in school. The alphabet was uninvented by the Phoenicians around 1000 BC, like your textbooks claim. This is another carefully constructed lie designed to discredit the most important historical documents ever written, the Bible and the Book of Enoch. The Sumerians and Egyptians created early writing systems, cuneiform and hieroglyphs. But these were untrue alphabets. They were complex symbol systems that required years of study to master and could only express simple concepts, not the complex theological and philosophical ideas we find in biblical texts. The truth is that the first true alphabet was developed by the Proto-Hebrew people thousands of years before the Phoenicians, specifically to record and preserve the words of God as given to Moses and the prophecies of Enoch. God didn't just give Moses the 10 Commandments. He gave him a complete system of written communication that could express divine concepts with perfect clarity. The Bible tells us explicitly that Moses was instructed to write these words and teach them diligently to your children. This wouldn't have been possible with crude Sumerian cuneiform or Egyptian hieroglyphs. It required a sophisticated alphabet capable of expressing complex spiritual truths, an alphabet that God himself inspired. When academics claim that the Bible was written after Sumerian texts and is therefore a plagiarism of earlier works, they re-ignoring a crucial fact. The biblical narratives existed in oral tradition for thousands of years before being written down, dating back to before the Great Flood itself. The alphabet was God's gift to humanity, a way to preserve his truth for all generations. And that truth includes the real history of civilizations like Amaruca, that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge. Chapter 5. The Lost Continents. The story of Amaruca cannot be understood without examining the two great lost continents that once dominated our planet, Mu and Atlantis. These were myths or legends. They were real land masses that housed advanced civilizations before the Great Flood destroyed them. According to researcher James Churchward, the continent of Mu, located in the Pacific, was home to the Nakul civilization, a highly advanced people with a population of over 64 million. This civilization flourished for 50,000 years and was far more technologically and culturally advanced than our own. When Mu was destroyed in a great cataclysm, survivors spread across the globe, establishing colonies and bringing their advanced knowledge to primitive peoples. This explains the remarkable similarities we see between ancient civilizations that supposedly never had contact with each other. The word Naga comes from the Nakul civilization. In Sanskrit, Naga means serpent, and in Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain traditions, the Nagas were semi-divine beings, half human, half serpent, who could assume either human or serpent form. They were potentially dangerous but sometimes friendly to humans who worshipped them. Do you see the connection? The universal serpent worship that gave Amaruca its name traces back to these ancient Nagas from the lost continent of Mu. But Mu wasn't the only advanced civilization. Atlantis, located southeast of South America in the Atlantic Ocean, also sent colonies to the Americas thousands of years before its destruction. The famous Piri Reis map, created by Turkish Admiral Piri Reis in 1513, shows the coastline of Antarctica when it was free of ice. Something that shouldn't have been possible unless the mapmaker had access to source materials from before the last ice age. More incredibly, this map shows both North and South America with remarkable accuracy, centuries before these continents were supposedly discovered by Europeans. This proves beyond doubt that advanced civilizations had detailed knowledge of all Earth's continents thousands of years ago. Chapter 6. The White-Bearded Mystery. Throughout South and Central America, indigenous legends speak of mysterious white-skinned, blonde-haired, bearded people who ruled these lands in ancient times. These weren't European colonizers. These people were here thousands of years before Columbus. Spanish missionary records describe encounters with these mysterious people. Father Juan Lucero in 1681 recorded extensive testimonies from South American natives who claimed descent from the powerful king Tupac Amaru, who had escaped with over 40,000 Inca warriors into the unexplored forests east of Cusco. These records describe a mysterious race of white, bearded men who lived near the Waga River, the main tributary of the Maragon River in Peru. They were a shy people who rarely showed themselves to explorers or other natives, but when they were spotted, they carried with them valuable objects of silver, gold, emeralds, and diamonds. Father Lucero recorded seeing indigenous people carrying plates decorated with the exact same symbols found in Manuscript 512, the document describing the lost Brazilian city. They wore rings and earrings of pure gold, bearing identical inscriptions to those found in the mysterious city reported by the Bandeirantes. Could this be coincidence? Absolutely not. Archaeological evidence from Iceland shows inscriptions identical to many found in American petroglyphs. This gives credibility to the Irish legends of High Brazil, a connection between Brazil and Ireland that mainstream archaeology refuses to acknowledge. Recent archaeological discoveries show that the ancestors of Anglo-Saxon culture come from a completely different origin than previously believed, with inscriptions in Iceland identical to unknown American petroglyphs. This discovery validates many indigenous stories from these regions and provides substantial clues to explain why legends of High Brazil exist, linking Brazilian culture to Irish culture. The statue described in Manuscript 512 pointing north towards the Mediterranean suggests these people came from that region, bringing with them advanced knowledge of architecture, astronomy, and metallurgy. Chapter 7. The Phoenician Connection, the evidence for ancient global contact. Doesn't stop with mysterious white peoples. We have concrete proof that Phoenicians, Carthaginians, Chinese, and other advanced civilizations were visiting the Americas thousands of years ago. In 1976, lobster divers in Guanabara Bay, near Rio de Janeiro, discovered ancient amphoras, storage vessels used by Greeks, Phoenicians, and Romans for maritime trade. These weren't isolated finds. Similar discoveries have been made throughout Brazilian coastal waters. When these discoveries were reported, the Brazilian government immediately created embargoes preventing further exploration. Why? Because these findings completely destroy the official story. The Europeans first reached the Americas in 1492. If it were proven that other civilizations had reached Brazil first, Portugal would lose all historical claim to these lands, and the entire narrative of European discovery of the New World would crumble. But the evidence goes far beyond a few pottery fragments. Researcher Ludwig Schwenhagen dedicated over 40 years of his life to documenting connections between Brazil and the Phoenicians. His research reveals that Phoenician priests called carrions accompanied Phoenician ships on voyages to Brazil, significantly impacting indigenous culture and language. The word Carrio in indigenous translation means white man, and Carioca translates as House of the White Man. This explains why Rio de Janeiro residents are called Cariocas. The name preserves the memory of these ancient white visitors. According to Schwenhagen, the Carions were descendants of 4 great confederations that extended from the Mediterranean Karoo, the same as Tyre of the Phoenicians, Key covering Asia Minor, Cara or Caria, with remarkable geographical similarity to Rio de Janeiro, and Caraman, whose people were the first merchants to establish themselves in Brazil's interior. The famous stone in Rio de Janeiro bears Phoenician inscriptions, proving these ancient maritime peoples not only reached Brazil but established permanent settlements here over 3,000 years ago. Tobacco and coca leaves have been found in Egyptian mummies, plants that only grow in the Americas. This is impossible unless there was regular contact between the Old and New Worlds thousands of years ago. Chapter 8. The Amazon's hidden past. Deep in the Amazon rainforest lie secrets that would revolutionize our understanding of human history. This isn't just the pristine wilderness that environmentalists claim. This is the remnant of what was once a densely populated region housing millions of people in advanced civilizations. Recent discoveries have revealed massive geoglyphs, geometric earthworks visible only from the air, covering hundreds of square miles of the Amazon basin. These structures are so large and precise that they could only have been created by a civilization with advanced knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. But that's just the beginning. The mysterious Cueva de los Tios in Ecuador has yielded artifacts that should unexist, according to mainstream archaeology. Metal plates bearing figures found exclusively in ancient Babylon and Egypt, including miniature versions of the Babylonian figure Lamassu. Father Crespi, the central figure in this discovery, spent decades documenting artifacts that suggest massive cities existed in the Amazon during antediluvian times, now buried under thick, unexplored forests. These weren't primitive peoples living in grass huts. These were sophisticated civilizations with knowledge of metallurgy, astronomy, and architecture that rivals or exceeds our own capabilities today. The great megalithic structures scattered throughout Brazil provide undeniable evidence of this ancient past. The enormous walls of Sete Cidades, the gigantic columns of Vila Velha, the 15-kilometer wall lost in the forests of the colossal stones of Serra das, and the Cyclopean formations hidden in the unexplored forests of Bahia. Why doesn't mainstream archaeology acknowledge these sites? Because they predate the accepted timeline of human civilization by tens of thousands of years. They prove that advanced civilizations existed in the Americas long before the supposed cradle of civilization in Mesopotamia. Brazilian archaeology already has sufficient evidence to prove that the Amazon was once filled with great civilizations. But this knowledge is suppressed because it doesn't fit the accepted narrative of human development. Chapter 9. Final revelations. What we've uncovered today isn't just a story about the true origin of America. Its name. It's proof of a deliberately hidden history that threatens the very foundation of everything. We've even taught about human civilization. The name Amaruca, land of the feathered serpents, preserves the memory of advanced antediluvian civilizations that once spanned the globe. These were unprimitive peoples, worshipping imaginary gods. These were sophisticated societies that had direct contact with entities the Bible calls angels and fallen angels. The universal serpent worship we see in every ancient culture was uncoincidence. It was the remnant memory of real beings who once ruled over human civilization before the Great Flood destroyed their kingdoms and scattered their survivors across the earth. The deliberate suppression of this knowledge serves a clear purpose: to maintain the illusion that human civilization is a recent development, that we are the most advanced peoples ever to exist, and that the biblical account of early human history is merely mythology, but the evidence speaks for itself. From the ancient inscriptions linking America to Amaruca, to the megalithic structures that dot the Brazilian landscape, to the genetic and linguistic connections between supposedly isolated civilizations, the truth is undeniable. We are not the first advanced civilization on Earth. We are the inheritors of knowledge from civilizations so advanced that their achievements seem impossible even by today's standards. The story of Amaruca is the story of humanity's forgotten past, a past that mainstream academia refuses to acknowledge because it validates the biblical account of human history and proves that we are not alone in this universe. As we continue to uncover these forbidden truths, we must ask ourselves, what other official narratives are lies designed to keep us ignorant of our true heritage? The awakening has begun. The truth about Amaruca is just the first revelation in a series of discoveries that will completely transform our understanding of who we are and where we came from. If this video has opened your eyes to the hidden truth of our past, smash that like button, subscribe for more forbidden history content, and share this video with everyone you know. The truth deserves to be heard. Until next time, keep questioning everything they tell you. The real history of humanity is far more incredible than they want you to know.